Hi there, this is Dutta, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Wednesday, July 24th, 2024, and tonight I should be talking about AEW Blood and Guts. So, a lot of things went down tonight. Let's kick things off talking about this MJF segment. So, as you all know, last week, MJF defeated Will Ospreay, and he won that international title. He beat him with 59 minutes and 58 seconds. So he literally beat him 2 seconds shy of an hour. Now, MJF, he came out there. I feel like this was your typical heel MJF promo. And he basically takes international title and calls it the American title. That's the title that he made the AEW American title. So it seems like he's doing this whole patriotic gimmick here. Kind of reminds me of when he did that campaign, hashtag MJF 2020. But yeah, well, what do you guys think of this title and this whole segment? I like how he's talking about how when he mentions America, he's talking about Plainview, Long Island, New York, not nasty Nashville, Tennessee here. And of course, this whole thing, he calls out Will Ospreay, which Will Ospreay wasn't there. At the start of Dynamite, Will Ospreay's car had a blade in it, and he couldn't get to the ring. And freaking Alex Marvez was like, have you ever driven in America? Because you guys know Will Ospreay's from British, and they drive on the opposite side. Now, I find it interesting that this is no different than what Will Ospreay did. You guys remember when Will Ospreay was IWGP United States champion? He turned into the IWGP United Kingdom championship. So it's no different than what Will Ospreay did, honestly. AEW United States title, more like it, right? AEW United States title. So we find out that Will Ospreay's going to get his rematch at All In for that international title. MJF had dumped the international title into the trash can, and Will Ospreay retrieved it. But that's not all that happened. You had this American flag, and you know where the stars go. MJF put his face where the stars went. Such typical MJF thing to do. I thought it was the most hilarious thing that he did that. But this just should be interesting. I'm very curious to see where they do with this whole American title. I think that they said that he has a title defense in CMLL. So we'll see what happens with that. But this is not the way I thought things were going to go. I thought we were going to get a three-way. It's going to be Garcia versus MJF versus Ospreay. But Will Ospreay versus MJF for that international title / American title, I think that's going to be great. Now let's talk about the second thing that happened tonight. So Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, had a match against Hikaru Shida. Now one of the things I like about this is the revisiting of the rivalry. Hikaru Shida and Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, have crossed paths before. Britt Baker actually defeated Hikaru Shida to win her first AEW Women's World title. So at the end, the end of this match, Mercedes Moné comes out, and basically Kamille, yes, former NWA Women's Champion Kamille debuts. She seems to be she's going to be the enforcer for Mercedes Moné here. She attacked Britt Baker from behind, and they laid her out here. I feel like they're going to have her be kind of like a female Wardlow here, which I feel like, it's not a good introduction. Let me see. that Blood and Guts match was brutal in my mind. To take a phrase from Mary, this is my brutality. Yeah. So according to Fightful Select, Kamille has actually been signed for a while. So it says Kamille's return was kept very quiet, and she's been under AEW contract and getting paid since February. She was backstage at AEW Dynamite in January, which led to contract talks and her being signed shortly after. Graphics and materials for her debut have been ready for quite some time. Yet this was her big debut here. She's literally probably been at home since she signed with AEW back in February, and they have her debut as a bodyguard. If she was an up-and-coming wrestler that nobody knew of, I totally could see that being the scenario. It would be a great way to build someone, but she's not a rookie. She's not an unknown wrestler. Why are you going to have her debut as a bodyguard for Mercedes Moné? Like, she could have been in the title scene already. Personally, I think she should have gone to TNA. I feel like she could have had incredible matches with Jordynne Grace. She could have probably be the one to dethrone Jordynne Grace. That didn't happen. But hopefully things work out. Maybe, I know we just had Blood and Guts today, but maybe this rivalry, this stable, this faction will eventually lead to a female's Blood and Guts, because I still think we were supposed to get a female Blood and Guts, a women's Blood and Guts match with when Britt Baker had her group, and it was the Originals versus the Outcasts, but unfortunately that didn't happen because of all the injuries. So who knows? But maybe that's what we'll finally lead to. But I just feel like they could have done so much more with Kamille here. I feel like she should have debuted as Mercedes Moné Saki, but that's just me personally. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. Fan of Kamille, or hopefully they know what they're doing. Yeah, hopefully, let's hope everything works out and whatever plan they have planned works out for the best. I just personally feel that she could have done so much more than being Mercedes Moné Saki. That's what I thought. All right. So we get a Blood and Guts coin flip. And basically, like, the Elite have a double-sided coin. So either way, they were going to win the coin flip. Basically, the coin flip would determine who has the advantage in tonight's Blood and Guts match. And one of the things that I noticed is that, they're looking for Hangman. Like, where is Hangman Adam Page? That they had a deal, and a deal is a deal here. So we all know, like, Hangman Adam Page, since he came back, pretty much said that he didn't want anything to do with the Elite. He just wanted to get his hands on Swerve Strickland. Kamille's awesome. I like to see her renew her rivalry she had from the NWA with Thunder Rosa. See, she could have done that. She could have debuted and had a feud with Thunder Rosa, but she's Mercedes Saki. But again, that's just how I feel. We had the FTW title match, the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki. Now, this match was FTW rules, and Big Bill and Bryan Keith were banned from ringside. Now, this was pretty much a chop fest. Like, the first half of this match was just chops, back and forth chops. I was like, holy shit. Chris Jericho started bleeding from his chest because of those chops that Minoru Suzuki was doing. And then eventually the match kind of like shifts when Jericho does that elbow strike. But he has to go low here. Like, Chris Jericho goes low and then hits the Judas effect to Minoru Suzuki so that he's victorious here. He retains his FTW title. Like, I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not the biggest fan of the Learning Tree. I know I've mentioned it before, but I like Brian Myers' version of the Learning Tree. Brian Myers, when he did his own version of the Learning Tree back in TNA. And in case you didn't know, Big Bill, or as he was known back then, W. Morrissey, actually had an 8 versus 1 handicap match against 8 members of the Learning Tree. So him joining Chris Jericho's Learning Tree, I thought was hilarious and a little homage to that. But Shibata comes out to help Suzuki. So I feel like this is probably going to lead to Chris Jericho versus Shibata for that FTW title? Or maybe since he attacked Brian Keith, we'll get Brian Keith versus Shibata first. We get Willow Nightingale. She's basically being interviewed by Renee Paquette. Now, she had won the CMLL women's title. And basically, Stokely and Chris Statlander set up a trap for her. And next week, we're getting an eliminator match where if Chris Statlander beats Willow, she's going to challenge for that CMLL title. We get Bryan Danielson. He's getting interviewed, and this was such an interesting dynamic, interesting segment because he's getting interviewed by Renee Paquette, but Double J Jeff Jarrett interrupts and pretty much kind of like tells him to go all in. Because you guys remember, like, if there was one other person, in my opinion, that should have won the Owen, it would have been Jeff Jarrett. Like, God, man, he tugged at my heartstrings with that video about Owen. You know, but it's understandable why he didn't win. You know, this is Bryan's retirement tour. Probably wanted to give him a massive match at All In. So I wonder if this is going to lead to anything. Like, he was basically just telling Bryan that a lot of people believe in him, including himself. So very interesting to see where this goes with Double J Jeff Jarrett. We get the Patriarchy segment, and basically, they're the trios champions now. Now, Nick Wayne confronts Kip Sabian, and he kind of asks him, like, what's he doing? So I wonder if this is going to lead between a feud between Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, since the last time Kip Sabian was also outside of their locker room. So, interesting. We get Pac versus Boulder. I wasn't a huge fan of this. I feel like it was really short. Like, you could have left this off the card. You could have made maybe Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida a little longer. We get a Team AEW segment, and they're all talking about the blood and guts. Now, one of the interesting here is, like, Darby kind of like tells Swerve Strickland here that they're never going to see eye to eye, which is true. They're not. And everyone's at each other's throats. They're forgetting that they're Team AEW. They're there to represent AEW. Mark Briscoe kind of brings everybody back together. So, but I did think that was going to play a factor into this. It didn't. We get the Glamour Mariah May versus Hailey Alexis. This was an enhancement match. I don't know why we had this match. I mean, Mariah May, at this point, shouldn't be wrestling enhancement talent, but I get why they did what they did, because last week she cut a promo. They couldn't have her cut a promo again this week, you know? So afterwards, like, Toni Storm comes out. Like, I like the fact that they play her music, but she doesn't come out. Like, it looked like she was disguised as a camera woman. And she says she asked Mariah May if she's prepared to die, because she is. So I cannot wait for this match, the all-in match. Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the AEW women's title. I think this is the best story they have going on in the women's division. And we get a Blood and Guts video package, which is narrated by Dean Malenko. And it's actually a really well-done video package. I liked it. Guess you're going to give old Wardlow a break from the enhancement matches for a while. So the main event ends up being Blood and Guts, the Elite versus Team AEW. Now, this match was freaking crazy. Like, Jack Perry and Darby Allin lasted the longest in this match. Like, they initiated this match. They started this match. And let me see. Feels like we're getting Toni Storm again. Maybe. Like, Mark Briscoe got busted open. Anthony Bowens got sandwiched in between two barbed wire boards. You had Okada do a tombstone power driver to a bloody Mark Briscoe on a sign that said Rainmaker Drive. And one of the things that I like, and I'm not surprised this is what happened. You guys know to remember, Hangman Adam Page entered this match to get his hands on Swerve Strickland. Hangman was the last man for the Elite, and Swerve Strickland was the last man for Team AEW. Hangman didn't come out when his theme song played. He literally waited until Swerve Strickland was making his way down to the ring to attack him with a steel chair. Bro handcuffed him. Had it not been for Matthew Jackson, who told him to get his ass in the ring, he probably would have stayed out there all night, beating up on Swerve Strickland. There was another crazy spot in here where you had Max Caster get a full mouth of thumpbacks. And you could tell that the Elite was not happy with Hangman because they basically had to remind him that they had a deal and that they could fire him if he didn't get in the ring. There's this one spot where I was like, so Matthew and Nicholas Jackson each came out with like these cases, and one of them had staple guns in it. And so the Elite all attacked poor Swerve Strickland with this staple gun. They were just stapling him. I mean, if you've ever accidentally stapled your finger, that hurts. Like, damn, but he was just laughing maniacally about this. I have to say my one disappointment about this was that nobody got tossed off the cage. Anthony Bowens fell off the cage, but he didn't fall off from the top. He kind of fell off from the side through the tables. I will say, this is just me personally, but I feel like the finish to this kind of ended flat. Because you guys remember at Double or Nothing, Darby Allin set Jack Perry on fire and they were getting ready to do it again. But basically, the only reason they didn't was because Matthew Jackson, not only did he give Darby Allin a match with Jack Perry at All In, but he basically quit. So I was like, that's it? That's how they're going to end this match? Like, I thought this was a fantastic match. That wicked chair shot from Mark. Yeah, ooh, chair shot to the head. So, but Matt Jackson did save Jack Perry from getting lit up on fire again. But what did you guys think of tonight's show? On a scale from a 1 to a Shawn Spears perfect 10, I have to say, tonight's show was okay. That main event was incredible. Like, the main event on itself is an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. But a lot of these, we could have done without a lot of this stuff. Like, I did not like the Pac versus Boulder. I felt like it was short. You could have taken that match out and made Britt Baker versus D.M.D. Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida longer. Any normal guy would quit before being set on fire. That's true. He would. I thought Jack Perry would be the one to say he quit, though, not Matthew Jackson. But, did he want... Darby's a madman. Oh, he definitely is. And I feel like Mariah's May enhancement match was totally unnecessary. I get why they did it. I just was not a fan of it. So, on a scale from a 1 to a Shawn Spears perfect 10, there are a couple things I dislike. I give it a 7.5. I thought it was a pretty decent show, except for a few things. But aside from that, it wasn't bad. Alrighty then. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I will see you guys. If you guys like TNA, I will see you guys tomorrow on Body Slam for all things TNA. If not, I'll see you guys back here on Friday after Friday Night SmackDown. Bye.